Today on the Rise of the Challenge podcast.
Scared in a way to pursue dance 100% because there was always going to be this wall that was going to divide me from another dancer. What if I do go low? What if, I'm having a high episode when I would have high episodes, my balance was off, like everything just felt off. And when you're asked to be on stage, you can't be off. You have to be 100% on, ready to go. Everything has to be perfect.
Welcome to the Rise of the Challenge podcast. Joining today, she's a type 1 diabetic and the founder of Lacey Fitness. It's Lacey Cleland. How are you doing today, Lacey?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm great.
We're so excited to have you on the show to talk about your rise to the challenge. What we like to do with all of our guests is go right to the beginning. Talk about where you're from and what you like doing growing up.
I am from North Dallas, so it's actually called Plano. Growing up, I did a little bit of everything. I was majorly in dance, played a little bit of softball, soccer, dabbled in lots of different things, huge bookworm, but mainly ballet was my go-to. So.
Was there something about ballet that kind of was like, oh, I want to do this? Out of all the different types of dance, that one.
So looking back at it now, I just love that creative process in general. I didn't really figure that out until I was a teenager. I hate being on stage. So that was a hard part of it. Black in front of me was not my thing. Bright lights, not my thing, but I just loved the creative process. And so that's what I think held me in for so long. And even now with what I do now. But I think ballet, jazz, it didn't really matter what type of movement it was. I loved seeing just, I don't know, the theatrical side, the talent of, other people and dancers, seeing movement in my head and watching it come to life in somebody else's body. That's what I fell in love with through the whole process growing up. So.
With the creative process, did you go and see a lot of ballet shows that kind of sparked ideas, sparked like techniques that you wanted to try throughout your time with ballet?
Oh, for sure. So you do like the normal little recitals here and there. I was Clara for the Texas Ballet Theater. It was Dallas Fort Worth Ballet back then. So I played like major roles. I went overseas multiple times to do like the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Scotland. I mean, there's so many things that I did that just widened that spectrum of like, oh, dance can be this and theater can be this, and you can, mold the two. And then, things like So You Think You Can Dance and like all of those shows that you see now, just the competitiveness, it just blew that world up, and just how wide of a range you could take it in any way. So yeah, I went everywhere. I did everything. I'm thankful that I was able to, and my parents worked their butts off for me to be able to do that. But yeah, I dabbled in a little bit of everything.
You talked about all of those different opportunities. Was there like a couple that are memorable for you that you'll remember for a lifetime?
Probably going overseas. Scotland is Scotland. It's beautiful. There's so much history there. The Fringe Festival is the biggest arts festival in the world. And so not only did I get to see the dance side of things, but, seeing theater, the actual art and paintings, and just so much raw talent that I want to go back, but not, I've always told my husband, I want to go back, but not as a performer. I want to go back as just getting to experience it as a normal person, because it's just that grand and eye-opening. It's so cool. So that was probably one of my big ones. And then of course, going into, I majored in ballet at Texas Christian University. That was definitely a turning point for me because I almost quit. when I was in college. I almost quit dance, almost got burned out, but I think it was because I I didn't really find my niche, so to speak, in like the dance community, as far as like ballet and modern and just that professional, um, I guess, theater world. And then that's when I walked into a Zumba class on accident. Had never done salsa or any type of like Latin ballroom style anything in my life. And I walked in and, they start playing that music and you just start moving your shoulders and your
Yeah.
body starts moving a different way. And that was a door open for me and my heart just fell in love with it. And I, just complete 180 professional training. I'm going to leave it and I'm going to go into the fitness world with it. And that's what I did.
It's
So,
it's amazing how, because like the two different styles are completely opposites, but there's
so
some techniques that you can take from one to the other, and it's like that dancer knows, like,
yeah,
hey, you can utilize this, but you're not going to be like with ballet. We all know that you're on your like toes basically,
yeah,
but in a Zumba class, you are more flat-footed and everything.
right, right. And I think that goes both ways too. Like even when I teach my classes now, I have women come in there. They're like, I've never taken a dance class in my life, and they start dancing and they start getting used to my movement, and they come in with just this swag, this natural swag that they have that I can't match. I can't even touch it. I can't come close to it because I'm professionally trained.
Mhm.
And that natural vulnerability, I guess you could say, of like, oh, that feels weird in my body, but it looks so natural in hers. I'm almost jealous of that because it's that wide spectrum. And sometimes that professional training can get in the way of letting somebody fully express themselves and that looking really kick ass. So,
I love how you mentioned that story with the women that come in for the first time. I experience hip hop dancing.
yeah.
I had a
Okay.
friend, she was like, we need guys to come and join a class. So they'll pay for you to come. I'm like, cool. I'm the most uncoordinated person in the world. But I look back at it and I think you talked about how you are afraid of the stage and kind of what you do now with in front of a camera and showcasing what you do. You kind of get it out of that comfort zone and that you like showcase a whole new personality. And doing that for that 1 year, it was worth it. Did I do it again? Nope. I was like, I'm done. But I always look back at it and I remember that time where it kind of did something like not what I'm used to. And did you feel that with the Zumba style or that Zumba class where it felt uncomfortable at first because you're so used to the traditional ballet that it didn't feel right at first?
Yeah, I would say I took Zumba classes for a good year before that instructor. I still remember her name. I lived in Arizona for a little bit. Her name was Ingrid, and she came up to me and she just flat out told me, she goes, "You need to do this." And in the back of my head was, I can't, I can't do this. This is not what I've done for the last 20 years. I
Mhm.
can't do this. And I think a lot of it has to do just with that community in general and those people that are looking at you, telling you to come and take this class, we'll pay for you to come take this class. Sometimes that accountability and that community is that push that you need
Yep.
to open that door and either experience it or take it on, 100% yourself. I would say I still do that to this day, where if I go teach at a new spot, a new studio, if I'm guest teaching somewhere, I still get that nervousness, that I'm just like, I I don't know if they're gonna like me. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know. And so that's usually when I'll pull a couple of the girls that you will see in all of my videos, and I'm like, hey, I feel at home with you guys. Will you come and do this with me? And they always say yes, and so I'm so thankful for that. But definitely, I would say more often than not, even though the camera may not show it, of course, you're only seeing little snippets of video in class, so I like pick out where does everybody look the best. But there are moments in there where I forget choreography, I mess up. you know, I'm human. So I just feel like that, I don't know, like it's almost like, am I in the right spot?
Mhm.
Should I be doing this? It happens all the time.
You talked earlier about you went and majored in ballet. Was the goal always to be a performer after graduation or an instructor, a teacher? What was that dream job for you?
So my dream job was actually to be, I'm trying not to go off topic here. A pivotal moment for me was when I was diagnosed with type 1. And it was one of the only times that I ever saw my dad cry was when I came to in the hospital. And when I went to TCU, I had it in my mind to go in as a double major. I wanted to major in ballet. It's what my parents had pushed me to do. But I also wanted to major in biology and I wanted to be a pediatric endocrinology nurse. So that nurse that walks parents through, hey, this is going to be okay. Your kid is going to have a normal life. This is not going to set them back. That life may look a little different, but I would say that that would have been my dream job. If I could go back, I would have done it, and I didn't. So,
How did diabetes change like your mindset when it comes to dance? A lot of times with you have the equipment, you have blood sugars. When do I have to take insulin? You're on stage and you're feeling low, can't run off. How
mhm.
did that play a factor for you?
So right after I got diagnosed right before fifth grade. And I remember going into one of my dance classes and I went in low. And I feel like the ballet world can get a bad rap sometimes. This is going to be one of those times, and I'm just going to say it right out. I walked in with like a granola bar, or there was something in my hand, and I vividly remember my dance teacher taking it out of my hand and saying I wasn't a diabetic. She didn't believe me. I was fine. I went into hypoglycemic shock that day. And it was one of those moments where I was just like, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is before Dexcom, before Omnipod. Um, and I think that may have also, now that I look at it, it may have contributed to me being kind of scared in a way to pursue dance 100% because there was always going to be this wall that was going to divide me from another dancer. What if I do go low? What if, I'm having a high episode for me, when I would have high episodes, my balance was off. Like everything just felt off. And when you're asked to be on stage, you can't be off. You have to be 100% on, ready to go. Everything has to be perfect. And I didn't learn or push myself at all until I stopped professionally dancing, which was the day that I graduated. And going in and getting my certification to do personal training is really when I took my diabetes seriously for once. I did the whole teenage burnout phase, didn't want to take insulin, took enough to, not end up in the hospital, but my A1C was absolute crap growing up. Um, and I feel like I would also run myself purposely high because, you do that and you can lose weight easier,
Mhm.
which in the dance world, that's important. You can't be overweight. So I had, kind of a diabetic induced eating disorder, if you will. And so again, that didn't change until after I got out of college, and I kind of not kind of I did start taking my health seriously, not only for myself, but I wanted to portray that to my clients, the people that I was teaching in my classes. Um, so that they kind of intertwined in a good way and a bad way growing up.
And you especially experience from grade 5 to where you are today, and you experience all the moments where a normal person goes through the high school phase of finding who they are, the college days of the partying, the activities, and things like that. I got it when I was in sixth grade. So I went through that same rebellious stage, I like to call it, because we're at that age where we don't know, we'll do it right, but we'll not do it right. But like you mentioned, similar to me, after I graduated, I knew I had to be serious about it. And I'm in the best kind of mindset for it. And
Mhm.
when you take it seriously, you now can realize you can do anything and it doesn't stop you. And I think when you were younger, I would probably have been the same way if that person was saying those things or I competing against someone else.
Mhm. Right. It's one of those, parents will reach out to me and, tell me that this isn't going to keep my kid from doing things. And I tell them, no, it won't, but just be prepared for them to kind of give up for a minute before they figure it out. And that's what I would tell parents now, like be with them through that minute. Because one day I fully believe it'll turn around. It may not. Usually it does though. I like to think. You start looking forward to what do I want from life? How do I get there? Well, first of all, I have to be alive.
Yeah.
I have to be able to walk and do all the things. So I would say a lot of what changed for me was also getting on Dexcom and Omnipod. That was a game changer. I didn't mention this either. My youngest brother is actually a type 1 diabetic also.
Wow.
So there's two of us in the family. He was diagnosed when he was 18 months old, and he also has Down syndrome. So it was also that shift of like, I also have to do it for him
Hmm.
and show him, he can communicate very, very well, but there was always those moments of, hey, Jake, you and I are the same. This is what we have to do, and this is why. So I also had that kind of pushing me to get my butt in line and do this the right way. So,
You kind of talked about earlier, like you wanted to be that pediatric endocrinologist. It's kind of coming out in a way with helping other people, you and your brother doing it together. It's kind of like you still have that part of you, even without having that title and everything.
yeah, it's funny because, you always hear there's a stigma around dancers, like dancers don't make any money. They always, you always see them waiting sing or something along those lines. And it was kind of always in my head of like, okay, if I actually wanted to go back and do something that could actually give me a living, that's what I would do. But I have been very thankful in the platform that I've built because I do have people reach out to me. Somebody this morning whose daughter was having, seizure episodes, and how do I fix lows when I'm doing my fitness stuff? What does that look like for me? And of course, every diabetic is different.
Yep.
But it's really cool when an idea is thrown out that they've never even thought of before, and they're just like, I've never, chosen to eat a snack before I work out without bolusing for it, and my body using that sugar to get through a workout or to get through, she was a cheerleader, to get through cheer so that you're not, tanking and going low by the time the activity is done. So I've definitely, I've been very thankful that people have noticed, the Dexcom and the Omnipod and the videos, and they've reached out, and I've gotten to fill that, not a void, but something that I've always wanted to do since I was young. So,
The most powerful thing with the diabetic community is the networking. Like,
yeah.
I think people learn more from other diabetics than the doctor because we're all living with it. The doctor only knows based off a textbook, but if they understood how we feel every day, they would know like the tips that we share with each other. It works. Sometimes it doesn't work, but we're all in that trial error, base error kind of mentality.
Yeah.
With diabetes and fitness today, what is the biggest thing that it has taught you, or what has been a big accomplishment you've seen to not or not realize that the diabetes doesn't stop you, but you're able to use your platform to really showcase it?
Um, I would say it's not only diabetes alone, it's autoimmune disease as a whole. I've had people reach out to me with, I'm also Hashimoto's and hypothyroid. So thyroid disorders, lupus, anything autoimmune. And I that made me go into this research of just inflammation in the body, period. You
Hmm.
know, there's a lot of like, what causes type 1? Is it genetics? Is it, something that happened when they were younger? Because now people are getting diagnosed a lot later in life. So, what genetic markers are getting turned on, if you will, to trigger the body to attack itself?
Hmm.
And I, fitness wise, have felt like I have had to learn that my fitness journey is going to look a lot different than a normal person's, meaning I am not going to recover like somebody else. I can't work out every single day. I can't do hard cardio every single day and keep my body in this fight or flight mode. One, because I'm not going to recover. Two, because it screws my sugars up like crazy. And so really it's this thought of like, Lacey, you need to be patient. If this is where you want to be, I need to think of it as taking twice as long as a non-diabetic, if you will. Um, and telling people that rest is just as important as working out and lifting and all of those things, because once that cortisol goes up, the body's gonna freak out, and sometimes that freak out can trigger something else. Like for me, that's how my thyroid crashed. I was teaching probably, I think at my most busy, I was teaching 16, 17 classes a week. And, I'm in my young 20s. I can't do that. Not even close anymore. Um, but that was my height. And 1 month, my body decided to crash, and it crashed by my thyroid giving out. Um, and I looked at my doctor and I said, what do I do? And my doctor's great. She knows me, she knows what I want to do. And she just looked at me, she goes, you need to back off. And I backed off, and I could just feel my body just kind of, yes, my thyroid was in the tank by then, but I feel so much better when I can teach my class, take a break, teach my class, take a break. And I feel in the fitness world, it's getting better as time goes on and people are starting to like really figure out what health looks like, I feel like. But that's just different because you hear like, I have to work out every single day. No, you don't. No,
Yeah.
you don't. It's actually going to go against you. So that's what I try to portray to anyone that asks me questions, and they're just like, as a diabetic, how do you do this? How do you teach your class? And I'll give them my rundown of what I do that may or may not work for you, but then I have to take a break. Or when I lift weights, lifting weights actually makes me go really really high, so I have to bolus before I lift. And it's those little things that I've had to learn along the way and kind of just develop my own little itinerary, if you will, to be able to do my fitness routine the way that I want to do it.
And people
So, and what
listening,
works for me may not work for everyone.
yeah, people listening will know that every diabetic is not the same. You mentioned how weights make your blood sugar go up. Mine just makes me crash going low. And you would think, why would it be different for two people? But that's how it is. Like, I love reading those things where it's like, oh, your blood sugar goes up for this. It's like, nope, my body just tells me you're going to do the opposite of what everything tells you you should be. So having the just for that, I've had to change like when do I work out to when I eat because of blood sugars. And it sounds like you do the same thing. Like you have that schedule that kind of works for you, and you've been able to find that pattern that works.
Right. I feel it's funny because it's not even just fitness wise. It's, I get the question of like, what do you eat before you work out? And that's different too. I had my endocrinology appointment last week, and she was talking to me about what I should try before I lift. And she goes, why don't you try drinking like a Premier protein shake? And I go, dude, no, those things make me go so high. And she goes, there's only 3 grams of carbs in those. And I go, yeah, but there's artificial sweeteners and my body hates them. It's crazy. And I'm just like, I would love to, grab something. And so that's also been another point of conversation with people is just because it has it on the label doesn't mean
Yeah.
that's what it's going to do in your body. And that's why I've seen even non-diabetic trainers, nutritionists, all of these people on social media, they're starting to get Dexcoms or the butterfly, the freestyle, to watch what their blood sugars do after certain foods that may say low carb or low sugar or whatever. It it could just go the complete opposite way of what you think, which just it also affects your fitness walk because you could be thinking, oh, I'm doing all these really good things, but it could be making your blood sugars go up and down like crazy instead of stabilizing it out, and your body, dumps insulin into your body. I mean, dumps insulin in, and then you retain fat easier. And it's just this crazy thing now that, people are just like, I would be so overwhelmed thinking about all that. I feel like the more we talk about this and get it out there, the more people are educated to look at it from that point of view and start getting answers to their whys of why isn't this working for me? Why is my A1C still high? Why can't I lose the weight? Or, why do I feel like crap all the time? So definitely a big learning curve.
We talked earlier with Lace Up Fitness. Talk about creating that and how it has evolved to what it is today.
So I started teaching for 24-hour fitness back in 2011. Um, Taught for them for 10 years, and then COVID hit.
Oh,
And, COVID hit, and the gyms were, one of the first places to close. And so I was sitting there and I was just like, man, like who I was just got completely ripped away from me. I don't have the gym, I don't have my community, nothing. And a lot of the women that took my classes started texting me and they said, hey, can you do like a Zoom call? Can we do Zoom classes where we can at least get together and just over the internet dance together? And sure. And so I started doing that. We did YouTube lives. This was also in the middle of when I was having kids and getting pregnant. And I had built it the first time, and then I got pregnant with my third. So then I had to back off. That's another conversation, but I had to kind of restart that 2 years ago. And it was just one of those moments of, I've been out of the game for a little bit. I wonder who's still interested. And, just made a Facebook post of, all the old 24-hour regulars that I had. Hey, who wants to come and do a dance class one time a week? And that turned into, a consecutive every week. And then it was 2 times a week, and me trying to find these studios that I could hold my classes at. And then I started getting asked for online content. Hey, I don't want just 2 classes a week. I want to be able to do this every single day. And I told my husband, I said, there has to be a way to do this. And he is so smart when it comes to just business and finance and the whole thing that I am not good at. I I can dance, I can, put choreography together, but you ask me to do numbers and website and all of that. I don't know anything. So I'm so thankful for him. But he kind of laid it out for me, and this is what it needs to look like. And Lace Up was born. So, I had like 5 or 6 names that I was going to choose from. And I did a poll with the ladies that took my classes, and they're like, you have to do Lace Up. It's your name, Lacey, Lace Up. It just makes sense. Um, so that was, yeah, about 2 years ago.
do you feel that when you utilize social media for it, do you find that more people like reach out to you or find you in unique ways that you never thought they would get to you? Because you're more, if you are staying in a local area or in an area, social media is great to find new people across the country. Have you been noticing that with the more reels and videos that you do post?
Yeah, it's really been over the last 4 or 5 months, I would say, that I've been getting noticed. And I had actually spoken with another big name, their Badass Mama Gang. And the leader of them, I had done a Zoom call with her and just, what are you doing? And she was just super helpful in trying to get me to go the right way. And one thing that really stuck out to me that she said, she goes, Lacey, they just want entertainment. And so I started, posting like bloopers of me completely messing up. And, that's when other instructors started coming into my page because they were like, oh my gosh, I do this all the time. And then it led to people not even noticing me, but they would notice all of the other dancers in the room of, oh my gosh, she has my body type, or oh my gosh, that girl, she can move, and she, you can tell that she's over 50. So it got that demographic in of like, grandma can move. And there's not an age cap to what we do. And then within the last month, I would say I've probably gotten more messages and comments of people noticing Dexcom and Omni, or I get a lot of them. It's what are you wearing on your leg? Is that a workout tracker? Which is it's just a fun way to open the door of,
Yep.
oh, I'm type 1 diabetic. So those messages have also been really fun, but it's been so many different things that people pick up on within the videos that there's not really just one thing. It's just everybody looks for different things or puts different things in their search bar. So it's just kind of been a collaboration of everything.
I love how you put with so many different ways to search to find you. Like
Mhm.
for me, type 1 diabetic, you came,
Yeah.
someone that might be looking for a dance instructor might find you that way.
Yeah.
So I think from social media is that entertainment. I mean, someone wants to scroll through videos. They want to feel escape in a way. They kind of want to feel, and I think with your videos that does do that because you can see everyone in that video is having fun for that short 30 seconds, 60 seconds, but you know that it's a longer period of time. They're all still smiling. Do you have a few favorite songs or videos that you've done that you like the choreography for? You've posted a lot of different songs
Yeah.
on there. Do you have like a few favorites that you like?
I do. Probably one of the most popular ones is the David Guetta Sexy Bitch. Uh, very, very millennial song, which is why I think it's gotten a lot of pull in general. But that's probably one of the biggest videos that has gone around that has uh, my page has blown up probably because of that single video. And just the ladies in it, you can tell that as soon as that music starts, they just start doing their own thing. And then a more recent one that's pretty awesome was Katy Perry just came out with her new album, 143. And I heard this song called Gorgeous. And in my head, it's going to sound weird. I have all these little dancers in my head that dance, and that's how I create movement. And I'm just like, oh, I want to see this movement come to life on my ladies. And so I put that together and I posted it on TikTok, and the Katy Perry commented on it. And I just flipped out. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I was shaking, just so cool. To get that type of feedback from her. She was like, okay, I'll come. And I was just like, if you come to my class, I would die. I would just pass out. But just, I mean, there's just a whole range of songs. I would say right now we're kind of in that millennial genre, which has been super fun, bringing all those fun songs back. Um, but yeah, definitely David Guetta, Katy Perry, uh, PD Pablo. That's the video that's going around, the Freak a Leak one. But it's so funny. Millennials, man, they are coming out of the woodwork, and they hear those songs and they come running. It's so
Yep.
funny. Where can I find this class? I need it. So
We talked about your career and your profession and the impact that it's made, but you kind of talked a little bit about being a mother. When you come home from teaching those classes, are you able to take the work life and leave it, or the work life and personal life, they just clash? But how has motherhood been for you?
Motherhood has been the hardest and best thing I will ever do in my entire life. People say my workout classes are hard, not as hard as makeup. That is exhausting. um, but I would say, as far as like balancing the different hats, if you will, I definitely did not balance it at all when it came to my first two kids. I kind of stepped away almost 100%. My husband brought me home to be a stay-at-home mom, which I'm fully thankful for. And I just always had this pull of something's missing. And it was my dance classes. So I looked at him and I said, I just want to try this. I want to see if I can do it all. And he was super supportive of that. I would say right now, with everything kind of expanding the way that it is, I have had some doubts in my mind of, when is it too much? Because my first and foremost job is to be mom.
Mhm.
My mom worked full time growing up, and I was raised by my nanny, and I missed that relationship with my mother, and so I kind of always told myself growing up, I want to be 100% there for my kids. I want to be there for everything. I want to be able to go to lunch with them at school. I want to go to field trips. I want to, pick them up from school, drop them off every single day. So it's just been this, I don't want to say game, but just this, how much can I handle with Lace Up, and being committed to that, and still balancing the plates of three children and being, my husband's wife. So, but I would attribute a lot of that success to my husband. He's such a good dad, such a good support. He knows that I need that outlet as well, as far as stress and getting to see those women that I love dancing with so much. I get to have adult conversation for, an hour and a half to 2 hours, instead of trying to speak 6, 5, and 2-year-old all the time. So it's definitely been a blessing in both aspects of being mom and my other world over here. Well, that is dance. So
What do you see the future with your profession? Like, do you see that it's going to go the same route? Is there anything that you're hoping to try in the future and like mix it up?
yes. So 2025, I just with the messages and DMs that I've been getting lately, I really want to look into making Lace Up into a certification for other instructors to teach. So, that would require me to, put out a few songs of choreography every single month, certifying instructors and saying, here's my choreography. Now you can take it, make it yours, and go teach wherever you want to teach. That way, the people that I do get that are, where is this class? I need this class in my life. Do you have a studio in Florida, in Australia, in the UK? Where are you? I can make that happen. And so that's 2025. That's me looking into, licensing, liability. What does it look like to come up with curriculum? I have no idea. So that's where I see it going. There's the other, I guess, face of Lace Up. Her name is Caitlin. She actually was a babysitter for us once we had our first child, and I've known her for almost 10 years. She doesn't have any dance background whatsoever, but she's my other instructor right now. And so I know it's possible to be able to, put my hat and put it onto somebody else, which is what I love doing, seeing the potential in somebody else, seeing my work taken into somebody else's hand and what they can do with it. So that piece of it, I am actually very excited for, because I think it's not one person, it's not two people. There's a lot of people that want Lace Up where they are, and I want to make that happen for them.
That'd be so cool to turn it into an international brand and
Yeah.
like you get videos sent of classes in Australia or Europe and they're doing what you love doing and everyone gets to experience it.
Yes, and I get tagged in videos now. They ask me permission to use my choreography, which is so crazy to me because there's all kinds of stuff out on YouTube, and you could grab whatever you wanted and teach it to your class, but the I just think it's so cool, and I do this with other instructors too. Like there's just this professional respect of, hey, I know this is yours. Can I teach it to my girls and post a video of it, but blast your name and give you credit? And I've had other instructors do it with me, and I do it with other instructors now. And that's how the question of a certification came up was, I feel bad because you're not getting full credit. No, I am, because you're, a simple tag for Lace Up Fitness is enough. And seeing those smiles in your videos is enough. And then, they come and follow my page. And it's just this ongoing thing of, sharing, tagging. Social media is so crazy in that now. And it's just been a huge blessing in what the dance world has become, really, because it's opened up so much.
The final question I'll ask you for someone that's listening to this interview based on your journey and experience, what tips or advice would you give them to overcome obstacles, accomplish their goals, and rise to the challenge?
That's a loaded question. Um, I would say, and it sounds very cliche, uh, don't ever take no as the final answer. It's for me, it's just it's a not right now. It's not a no. It's a not right now, and in whatever capacity you want to think of that in, whether it's should I teach this class? Should I go for this profession? I feel like it is a God-given thing inside of anybody. If you have that pull, there is something there, and if you pursue it and it's not taken well, go somewhere else and try a different route of it. I went ballet, didn't really work out for me, but then another door opened and I'm still doing what I did at 2 years old. It's the same thing, completely different worlds, but in that aspect it wasn't I'm not good enough. It was I'm just in the wrong spot. So it's not a no. It's just a no, not right now. Try it a different way.
Lacey, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about your rise to the challenge. You're inspiring so many people, and we are excited to see what the future looks like for you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tune in next time to hear my next guest talk about their rise to the challenge. Remember to follow and subscribe on all major audio platforms, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get a full-length episode in video format. What path do you take to accomplish your goals? You decide.